Welcome, welcome, curious minds, to the Deep Dive. Always great to have you with us, ready to peel back the layers on some of the big ideas shaping our world. And, more importantly, shaping your world.
Hmm.
Today, we're tackling something that is, well, it feels like it's absolutely everywhere right now. You see it scrolling through your feeds, you hear it in conversations, debates, at work even.
Oh, yeah. Unavoidable.
It's this fundamental conversation that's got people really rethinking what they want.
Yeah.
What success looks like, how they actually want to live day to day. Okay, so let's unpack this.
That's all right.
We're diving deep into these fascinating and often, well, pretty conflicting worlds, what people are calling hustle life versus soft life.
Right.
And these aren't just like trendy buzzwords, are they? They feel more like profound philosophies, really different ways of approaching modern life. And they're genuinely making people stop and question their priorities.
And what's truly fascinating here, if we kind of look at the bigger picture, is how these two really powerful, almost opposite ideas reflect a huge shift, like a seismic shift in societal values.
That's a good way to put it.
For decades, one story dominated. And now we're seeing this really strong counterstory emerge. Our mission today, just to be clear, it's not to tell you which one's better.
Right, definitely not.
No way. Because there isn't a universal better. This deep dive, it's really an exploration, looking into the nuances of each path. It's designed to help you, our listener, understand what's underneath it all. The promises, the pitfalls. It's about giving you the clarity, maybe the tools, to figure out what truly matters when it comes to your success, your well-being, so you can make choices that actually feel right for you, not just adopt someone else's definition of a good life.
That's exactly it. That's our aim. And to deliver on that, for your custom-tailored deep dive today, we've gone through, well, a stack of sources, articles, some research, our own notes.
Lots of notes.
And we're pulling out the most important bits, the real nuggets of knowledge and insight. Think of it like your shortcut, your express lane to being genuinely clued in on this really hot topic.
Yeah.
We'll try and throw in some surprising facts, maybe a little humor, keep you hooked. Our goal is really that you don't just get what the terms mean, but you also grasp the deeper stuff, the psychology, the sociology, the history behind it, and why it actually matters to your life, the choices you face every day.
Absolutely. We want you to understand not just what hustle life and soft life are, but why. Why are they getting so much attention right now? Why do they matter so much for individual choices, but also for, broader trends in society? This whole conversation, it's really designed to get you thinking critically about your own definitions. Success, achievement, fulfillment. What do those words mean to you? It's about arming you with insight so you can define your own terms. Craft a life that aligns with your internal compass, instead of just grabbing labels or following the crowd. It's about personal sovereignty, really, in a world that throws so many conflicting messages at us.
The relentless pursuit, unpacking the hustle life.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the one that's been, well, the dominant force for so long, especially in certain areas, right? Business, culture, the hustle life.
And the default setting for many.
Yeah. When we talk about hustle, we're talking about that relentless drive. It's a philosophy built on grinding, working incredibly hard, constantly chasing goals, often really big, audacious goals.
Yeah, the bigger the better, often.
Right. And the core belief is sacrifice now. Your time, your energy, maybe even sleep, relationships sometimes, all to win big later. It's about hitting that unparalleled success, building something huge, or just securing a future that feels out of reach otherwise. It's been the rule book, spoken or unspoken, for so many people trying to climb that ladder.
And its prevalence is just undeniable. You see it absolutely everywhere. Startup culture is soaked in it. Traditional business, corporate life, highly competitive. And, of course, social media. It's almost a performance on there.
Totally.
The hustle life even has its own language, right? Its own catchphrases that are just part of the air we breathe now.
Yeah.
Think about the hashtags you see constantly. Hashtag rise and grind.
Oh, yeah. Every morning.
Exactly. Those 5 a.m. routines glorified like they're the secret key to everything. Or the badge of honor that comes with having 3 side hustles.
Right, like it's a competition.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
And people almost bragging about barely sleeping, like it proves their dedication. Underneath it all is this really powerful, deeply ingrained mantra. If you're not working, someone else is, and they'll beat you.
Ooh, yeah, that pressure.
Huge pressure. And it's not just ambition in the old sense.
Yeah.
It's this pervasive belief that constant, often extreme effort, kept up for ages, is the only way, the only path to real standout success, to get ahead of everyone else, to achieve something that feels, I don't know, truly meaningful, maybe validates you.
Yeah.
It's driven by this conviction that the intensity of your effort directly equals the size of your reward, like capitalist math applied to your whole life.
It's genuinely fascinating how pervasive that became. Thinking back like the 2010s, it just felt like it exploded. It became the definition of modern ambition.
Peak hustle era.
That's when you saw figures like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V everywhere. His content output was insane, always pushing the pure grind, telling everyone to work 24/7.
Yeah, hustle porn, some called it.
Right. Or Elon Musk, with his crazy work hours, leading multiple companies. He really became this icon of the tireless innovator.
Definitely.
And then countless startup founders who seem to live on 100-hour weeks, pushing limits. It really became this badge of honor, bragging about no sleep, juggling projects, pouring every waking hour into work. It wasn't just about getting there. It was about showing everyone how hard you work to do it, making the effort your identity.
And if we dig into the origins, it's really important to understand that this intense work ethic, it often came from, well, survival mode.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Especially true for, say, middle-class families, immigrant families, across generations. The stakes felt incredibly high. For them, hard work wasn't just an option. It was often seen as the only way out.
The only ticket.
Exactly. The only path to move up, to get financially secure, to give their kids a better life. There's that common story in many immigrant communities, right?
Yeah.
You have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, just to get your foot in the door. Never mind getting ahead.
Yeah.
So this history, it's deeply ingrained hustle, not just as a strategy, but as part of the collective mindset. Almost like cultural DNA. It got tied up with virtues. Responsibility, resilience, grit, proving yourself against the odds.
Right.
And psychologically,
Yeah.
it's often fueled by this deep, almost gut-level fear of falling behind. Like if you stop for a second, you lose everything.
Constant anxiety.
Totally. And this relentless chase for external validation. From society, bosses, family even. Success measured by what people can see, the achievements, the sacrifices. And it's all built on this model of deferred gratification.
Sacrifice now, enjoy later.
Right. You work like crazy now, endure the hardship, hoping that someday, way off in the future, you'll finally make it and get to relax. But that someday often feels like it keeps moving further away.
Yeah, the goalposts keep shifting. But, with any extreme idea, eventually people started asking questions, maybe quietly at first, then louder. Like, okay, if I'm always chasing, always on, always pushing, when do I actually live?
That's the crucial question, isn't it?
It really is. And it points to the very real, very tangible downsides. The negative impact this culture had on people who went all in, often leading to this profound exhaustion, feeling disillusioned, disconnected from their own lives, like they're just watching themselves be busy.
Indeed. And the consequences became really stark. Burnout became not just a buzzword, but a quantifiable crisis. It wasn't just feeling tired. It was this pervasive, debilitating thing hitting millions, a kind of collective exhaustion.
Yeah, you heard about it everywhere.
We saw rising rates of depression, anxiety directly linked to this always-on, always producing pressure. I mean, studies from major health groups showed huge percentages of professionals reporting clinical burnout. Some fields saw massive jumps in mental health leave.
Wow.
This culture, when it goes too far, it can make people feel less alive, more like cogs in a machine, always optimizing for productivity, not for actual well-being or connection or just simple joy.
Right, just output.
And the long-term implications are serious. Mental health, physical health, chronic fatigue, sleep problems, even physical illness, but also eroding relationships, damaging family life, and ultimately really compromising overall life satisfaction. If every waking moment is about work or being productive, where's the joy? Where's the spontaneity, the connection with people you love, or just quiet time to think? It really makes you ask, at what cost does this kind of success come? Is the prize really worth what you pay for it? And maybe what parts of yourself do you lose along the way?
The pursuit of peace, decoding the soft life.
That question, that cost, it leads us perfectly into the other side of the coin. This opposing trend that's gained so much steam recently, especially, post-pandemic, the soft life.
Right, the pendulum swings.
Exactly. It's this newer, really contrasting philosophy that feels like a direct response, a reaction to all that burnout and disillusionment from the hustle culture. It's this deliberate shift in priorities, summed up by that feeling, wait a minute, I just want peace.
A conscious choice.
Yeah. Stepping back from the relentless more, and choosing something gentler.
And the soft life fundamentally redefines success, doesn't it?
Right.
It flips the hustle definition, its core principles. They're about consciously choosing ease over constant struggle, prioritizing emotional balance over relentless ambition, embracing intentional living, and maybe the biggest one, saying a firm, unapologetic no to burnout.
That no feels powerful.
It is. It stands in stark contrast. Hustle says, suffer now, win later. Soft life says, quite clearly, I don't want to suffer for success. I want comfort, joy, calm. I want to earn, sure, but on my terms, with my well-being as a non-negotiable.
Okay.
And proponents are very clear. This isn't just laziness. It's not a lack of ambition. It's a deliberate lifestyle choice.
Right.
Rooted in wanting a higher quality of life, not just higher output or more money.
Right. Quality over quantity.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's gained huge traction, especially post-pandemic. The lockdowns, the collective trauma,
Yeah.
it forced a lot of people to really look at their priorities, to see how fragile life is, maybe how futile that endless grind felt.
Yeah. A big reset for many.
And the shift to remote work for so many opened up possibilities that just weren't there before, gave people the time and space to rethink what success actually meant to them, what truly brought fulfillment. They realized, hey, my life doesn't have to revolve around a commute or a rigid office.
Yeah.
That sparked this desire for more autonomy, less stress.
And it's really important to get that the soft life isn't like doing nothing or
Right.
just checking out. Some people misunderstand it that way.
Right. It gets dismissed sometimes.
But it's much more nuanced. It's about actively creating a life where you don't feel like you constantly need a vacation from your life.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a great way to put it.
building a routine, a work style, priorities where your daily reality is actually a source of peace, contentment, maybe quiet joy, not just this constant drain. It's designing your normal life so it feels calm, sustainable, nourishing, not something you need to escape.
Exactly. And you see this playing out in very concrete ways.
Mhm.
People choosing freelancing or remote work for the flexibility, the autonomy, more control over their schedule, their environment, ditching the rigid 9 to 5. It's about consciously prioritizing mental health,
Mm.
making self-care not just a weekend treat, but a core part of the routine,
Yeah.
non-negotiable.
Right. Built in, not tacked on.
Yes. This shows up as embracing slower mornings, maybe journaling, meditating, just enjoying coffee without rushing, actively trying to reduce stress through setting boundaries. And a huge part is living within your means and still being happy.
Ah, that's interesting. Less focus on constant accumulation.
Definitely. It's a big mindset shift, focusing on contentment with what you have rather than always chasing more, which often means less financial pressure, fewer obligations, more freedom, more peace.
Makes sense.
And visually, the soft life has just exploded online. TikTok, Instagram, it's a whole aesthetic.
Oh, yeah, the visuals are powerful.
Totally. Feeds full of serene morning routines, journaling clips, gentle yoga, that whole quiet luxury vibe, cashmere, minimalism, quality over logos,
Understated.
and just the simple pleasure of like sipping coffee in peace on a nice balcony. These visuals create this compelling counterstory to the hustle grind. They offer this aspirational vision of calm, balance, well-being that really resonates with people tired of burnout. It's not just an idea, it's like a curated experience showing that peace is achievable and desirable.
Okay, but here's the thing,
Yeah.
and it comes up all the time. Can everyone actually afford the soft life? Isn't there an element of, well, privilege baked into that? It sounds wonderful, but for so many people, economic reality makes it seem completely out of reach, maybe even a bit exclusionary.
This is such a crucial point, a
Thank you.
vital nuance we absolutely have to talk about, honestly. Because while the desire for peace, for balance, for less stress, that's universal, right? Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
But the means to actually achieve that soft life, they're definitely not equally distributed. Economic realities, societal structures, they play a massive role.
How so?
Well, think about it. The ability to choose remote work, to prioritize therapy appointments during the day, to just scale back your workload. That often requires financial security, maybe a partner's income, job flexibility that just isn't available in many sectors, or having a safety net.
Right. Not everyone has those options.
Exactly. Think about someone working in retail or food service, manufacturing, healthcare, essential services. Many people, especially those in lower income brackets without college degrees or specialized skills, or maybe with heavy caregiving duties, they just don't have the luxury to make these choices.
Yeah.
They might be juggling multiple minimum wage jobs just to survive, facing rigid schedules set by employers, dealing with the constant pressure of rent, food, bills. For
Hmm.
them, the idea of slower mornings or intentional living,
Yeah,
it doesn't just sound aspirational. It can sound almost insulting, a luxury they couldn't even imagine.
that puts it in perspective.
It really raises this important question about equitable access to well-being. Is the soft life ideal truly universal? Or is it mostly accessible to a certain group that already has some level of privilege, whether they inherited it or earned it? It encourages you, the listener, to think critically about your own situation, your unique circumstances, the external factors, the opportunities, and the limitations that influence your ability to choose one path or even blend them. It's a reminder that while personal choice matters, it's often shaped, sometimes really constrained, by realities outside our control.
Beyond the dichotomy defining success on your own terms.
That point about privilege and access, it really brings us to the core of today's deep dive, doesn't it?
Hmm.
We've looked at the intense drive of hustle and life, the peace-seeking vibe of soft life, but the central question isn't really which one is better.
No, not at all.
The real deeply personal question for you, the listener, is what feels genuinely right to you? It's so individual, so personal. There's no single blueprint.
You've absolutely nailed it. That's the key insight. What's fascinating now is seeing how people are increasingly rejecting those old, prescribed, one-size-fits-all definitions of success. You know, the ones handed down by society or our parents' generation.
Breaking the mold.
Exactly.
Mm.
There is no universally better way to structure your life and work, because better is defined by your internal landscape, not just external scores. The key is cultivating deep self-awareness,
Mm.
a real sense of personal authenticity.
Tuning into yourself.
Right. Listening to your own internal compass, what genuinely energizes you, what fulfills you, not just following trends or caving to pressure. Your true north might look completely different from someone else's.
Yeah.
And just acknowledging that, that's the essential first step to building a life that actually aligns with your values, your aspirations.
Because when you look around, you see this whole spectrum of how people thrive, right? It's not just two options. Some people genuinely, love chaos.
No, absolutely.
They thrive on the adrenaline of deadlines, intense pressure, big ambitions. For them, that high-stakes stuff isn't stressful. It's invigorating. It's where they do their best work. It gives them satisfaction. They're almost wired for it. Quiet might actually bore them.
Energized by the pace.
Yeah, and that's such a stark contrast to people who deeply crave stillness. Minimalism. People who find their energy just drained by chaos, their creativity totally blocked by constant pressure or demands.
Right. Opposite ends of the spectrum.
For them, fulfillment comes from calm, order, simplicity, space in their lives. And that preference, it's not weakness, it's not laziness, it's just fundamental to who they are, influenced by personality, values, life experiences, maybe even their brain chemistry.
Sure. Neurobiology plays a part.
What makes one person feel accomplished and purposeful might leave someone else feeling totally drained, anxious, unfulfilled, which just hammers home that message.
You have to define success for yourself.
You do. Because what truly brings fulfillment, whether it's making tons of money, innovating, nurturing relationships, or just living quietly with contentment and connection, it's deeply, deeply personal. Your unique wiring, your past, your gut feelings, your dreams, they all dictate what makes you feel alive, purposeful, genuinely successful. There's no single scorecard.
Well said. No single scorecard.
So, okay, with all that understanding, how do you figure out where you land on this spectrum? We wanted to give you some actionable prompts, questions for self-reflection. Not necessarily easy answers, but maybe starting points for a deeper, honest chat with yourself, a personal deep dive, if you will.
Yes. And these aren't just rhetorical. They're crucial questions for self-discovery to help you peel back those layers of expectation and connect with what you really want. First one, ask yourself, am I chasing this because I genuinely want it or because I feel pressured to?
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. You really need to analyze how society, family, culture, peers, how they might be subtly or not so subtly driving your choices. Are you going for that demanding job, that specific lifestyle, that level of income, even that particular type of soft life because it truly aligns with you? Or because you think you should want it based on what everyone else is doing?
Like chasing a promotion because you want the challenge or because your friends are doing it.
Exactly. Or curating that perfect soft life Instagram because it feels right or because it's the new cool thing and you feel pressured to look relaxed in a certain way. Identifying those external versus internal motivations, that's incredibly powerful. Liberating.
Okay, what's next?
Second, really dig into this. What kind of lifestyle truly feels authentic to me? This needs real introspection beyond just surface desires.
What's up?
What does your ideal day really look like if you strip away all the shoulds?
The fantasy versus reality.
Kind of. What work environment makes you feel engaged, creative, least stressed? What leisure activities genuinely recharge you, bring you actual joy, not just kill time? When do you feel most like yourself? Most at peace, most vibrant, most aligned? Is it in nature, a bustling city, a steady routine, the flexibility of freelancing? Really try to envision your ideal day, hour by hour. It can bring surprising clarity.
That's a great exercise. And the third question.
And finally, a really fundamental one that often cuts right to the core. Do I want more peace or more power?
Wow. Peace or power?
Yeah. It frames this core choice between different kinds of fulfillment, different kinds of impact. Do you prioritize a tranquil life with minimal stress, focusing on inner calm, well-being, deep connections? Or do you seek influence, authority, the ability to shape things on a larger scale, to lead, innovate, build?
Both valid paths.
Totally valid. Both can bring deep satisfaction. But in their extremes, they often demand different things, sometimes things that conflict. Pursuing significant power usually comes with stress, responsibility, scrutiny. Prioritizing absolute peace might limit your reach or influence. So it raises that important question for you. What makes a life well lived for you? What impact do you want? And what trade-offs are you actually willing to make to get there? There's no right answer, only your answer.
Embracing the hybrid life.
Thinking about those big questions, peace versus power, authenticity, it feels pretty clear that for a lot of us, the answer isn't picking one extreme, not just hustle, not just saft.
Right. It's rarely that black and white in real life.
So maybe the most sustainable path, the most fulfilling answer for many, lies somewhere in the middle. Finding this sophisticated blend, taking the best bits from both worlds. Maybe the answer really is balance, a dynamic approach, like a hybrid life. That sounds pretty appealing, actually. Offers a way to have both ambition and well-being.
That concept of integration, it's absolutely key here. The mantra could be, hustle when you need to, rest when you must.
I like that. Simple but powerful.
It emphasizes this conscious dynamic flow between intense effort and intentional ease. It's about realizing that neither extreme should be, overglorified or followed blindly.
Right. Both have downsides if taken too far.
Exactly. Extreme hustle leads to burnout, ruins health, damages relationships. Pure soft life, if it lacks any drive or purpose beyond comfort, might leave some feeling adrift, maybe unfulfilled, maybe financially precarious.
Yeah, finding that balance.
So a hybrid approach acknowledges the limits and the benefits of both. It pushes for a nuanced, smart, personalized way of doing things. If we connect it to the bigger picture again, it's about creating sustainable well-being alongside ambition, not seeing them as enemies fighting each other.
Working together.
Yeah. Being strategic with your energy, your time, your talents, using them thoughtfully, not just burning through them, recognizing that life has seasons and ebb and flow, and adapting your approach.
Exactly. It's about building a life that doesn't feel like suffering, where your day-to-day isn't this constant battle against exhaustion or feeling jaded, where it doesn't feel like you're always climbing uphill.
Yeah.
Being deliberate, intentional, combining ambition with well-being to create a system that actually works for you, not against you. I mean, that sounds like the dream, doesn't it? Pursuing goals without sacrificing your soul.
It absolutely does. And it's achievable, I think, by embracing flexibility and self-awareness. A hybrid approach lets you tailor things, combine ambition and well-being intelligently, moving past that rigid all-or-nothing thinking.
So what could that look like practically?
Well, it could mean strategic periods of really intense, focused work, maybe during a project launch or a crucial growth phase or studying for something important. But then you follow that with intentional, non-negotiable periods of rest, recovery, reconnecting with life outside work.
Like sprints and recovery periods.
Exactly. Understanding productivity comes in cycles, not just a flat line, or maybe more day-to-day. It means structuring your work to weave in ease and balance, prioritizing breaks, having strict boundaries around work hours, even if you're remote, integrating mindfulness, short meditations, walks to break up the intensity.
Little resets.
Yeah. For instance, maybe a creative person has a 3-month hustle sprint for a big launch, then takes a month with lighter work, more travel. Or a busy parent works intensely during set hours, but then completely unplugs, commits to being present with family in the evenings.
Tailoring it to your life.
Exactly. And the long-term benefits, you can imagine them. Less burnout, for sure. Probably more creativity because your mind gets space to recharge and wander. Sustained motivation because you're not always depleted or resentful. This approach really empowers you, the listener, to customize your path. No rigid ideology. You adapt your rhythm to your goals, your needs, your life stage. You become the architect of your own well-being and success. Outro.
So, as we start to wrap up this really fascinating deep dive, let's bring it back home. What we've explored today, hustle versus soft life, it's really not a competition, is it? Not like picking teams you have to stick with forever.
No, definitely not.
It's something much deeper, more nuanced, more personal. The key takeaway for you, our listener, has to be that it's fundamentally a choice you get to make, a life you get to shape.
And that, I truly believe, is the most powerful choice you can make in modern life. The best life, the most fulfilling life, ultimately it's the one you design for you.
Yeah.
It's not about chasing external approval or fitting into some societal box. It's about cultivating that deep internal alignment. The real value of everything we've talked about today isn't just knowing the terms, it's applying it deliberately to your own unique life, taking ownership of your definition of success, of fulfillment, consciously crafting a way of being that genuinely reflects your values, your priorities, your authentic self.
So let's leave you with a final thought, something to maybe chew on after this deep dive ends, something that invites action. If the best life really is the one you design, what's one concrete step, maybe small, but meaningful that you can take today to move just a little bit closer to that design?
A tangible step.
Is it embracing a small piece of soft? Like maybe setting a real boundary around work tonight, or finding 15 minutes for quiet, saying no to one extra thing, or is it maybe channeling some focused hustle into a goal that genuinely excites you, a passion project, but doing it with this new awareness maybe, with a plan for rest built in?
And building right on that, we'd really encourage you to critically evaluate your current path right now. Are there parts of your life that feel, well, misaligned, maybe pushing you towards an ideal that isn't really yours, or pulling you away from what actually brings you joy?
That's a deep question.
It is, and it raises an important question for a personal deep dive. What part of your current definition of success or just your daily reality needs its own deep dive to really uncover what it is you want, why you want it, and how you can best get there in a way that feels sustainable, authentic, and truly fulfilling for you? Your journey is absolutely yours to chart.